few fights.
His slippery, the fact that he can slip?
No. Do you see a diminished fighter from the guy who fought Deontay the first time?
No, I don't. I see perfect opponents for him. I see him keeping busy and not wanting to get stale. I see him, preparing for a fight that he has coming up against a big guy. And this is what you do. You keep busy, you try and box a guy similar to the guy that you're fighting, and then try the same things that you're practicing on these guys. If it works on these guys, then now you have to work on Deontay.
Can you develop a chin? Can a boxer develop a stronger chin? The ability to take a punch? Can you work on that? Can you improve that?
No.
Chin-ups.
You can to a point, but if you're easily concussed, then you're easily concussed. And we did see it in one of Ortiz's fight in the second round. Who was it against Christian Slater? Hammer, sorry.
I'd like to see him fight Christian Slater.
Christian Hammer, sorry. They both caught each other, and it wasn't that hard of a punch, but it affected Ortiz. That showed me that, getting hit around the head, he gets concussed easy. And, it's hard to really, build up anything against that. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Wear headgear?
Right.
I guess the best thing is not to take the punch straight on, and moving with the punch is the best thing.
Lennox, I got a question for you. You've been in this position before.
Yes.
With Evander Holyfield. The first fight was a draw. You came back and won. Hasim Rahman got the upset, came back and won. This is a rematch as well too. How do you approach a rematch, and what did you do specifically the second time around from a training standpoint to come up on the winning side in both fights?
Well, there's two answers to that, right? So the way I lost was one punch. So when you lose one punch, then you know the problem is not to get punched, not to get hit. And for me, it was just a defensive error. It's like falling off a horse. Okay, I fell off a horse. I'm not done. Let me just get on the horse and show you that I can ride the horse. So that was the situation. Like, yeah, okay, he caught me with a good punch, but he's not a better fighter than me. He's not a better boxer than me. I've got more talent than him, and there's too much upside. So for me to go in there, what I need to do is go in there and be my best. Don't make silly mistakes, because that's what allowed me to lose the fight. In this with Ortiz now, he understands that doing boxing, he was boxing good. He caught him, but he wasn't able to take him out. Why is that? He says, okay, it's because I wasn't in good shape. Now, if he was in good shape, maybe he could have taken him out. Maybe we would be talking about something different right now. But the fact remained is that, okay, Deontay was able to weather the storm and come back strong with the strong punches. Ortiz wasn't able to weather the storm. He got knocked down twice. When he got concussed, he was still concussed when the referee was warning. Ortiz didn't want to box again. He wanted more of a rest. But he said to the referee he was okay. He didn't put up his hands and say, no, I'm ready. His hands were still down. I don't know if it was a language barrier and whatever, but he didn't seem like he was ready for that second knockdown which he went through, and that's what Deontay was able to do. He's got that uncanny being able, the killer instinct. That's the killer instinct. Once you smell blood, you go for it. He smells the blood. He's always smelled the blood, and he's able to take out people when he smells that blood. So
sometimes he almost goes a little overboard when he's
Oh yeah. I mean, one time he got him hurt and he went in there. Like, yeah, that's the youth. That's the youth aspect. As an older fighter, he wouldn't do that.
But I like what you said earlier. You said he goes right hand crazy. How do you, again, instinct, how do you try to fix your mind after doing this for all this time, to try to fix your mind and not rely on the hammer so often?
Well, I always said, and I've always said it. If you can't knock somebody out, you better be able to box. So, not everybody you can knock out. There's guys out there that won't, just refuse to get knocked out. Then what do? You got to be able to box. The fight with Tyson Fury, great fight. Tyson Fury was the boxer. But unfortunately for Tyson Fury, Deontay was a power puncher. Now, if you asked me, who would you pick, a boxer or a power puncher? Well, I was picking the boxer, but then the power puncher came through. So, you can lose every round, but if you get knocked out in the last round, then, what good does boxing do? So it's that balance. You got to have the balance of both.
So who's winning the fight?
Who's winning the fight? This time I have to go for the puncher. The puncher, because I know the boxer gets concussed.
You think that'll lead to him getting knocked out earlier because he gets concussed easy? Do you think it'll...
Yeah, I do.
So you talked about being able to slip those punches to absorb punches, so you don't get concussed or you don't get hit.
Right.
With his weight loss, back to his question earlier, with his being more fit, does that help him slip punches a little quicker and be quicker on his feet? Do you think?
Absolutely. When you don't carry around 10 pounds or 15 pounds extra, it makes you lighter.
But does it impact him from suffering from punches?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
So what do you make of Andy Ruiz losing all the weight? You look at it on the flip side. You have a guy who actually beat the champion, and he's trying to lose weight and trying to probably to become.
The difference with that fight, Andy Ruiz can punch like a motherfucker. That guy, I was at ringside, all I could hear is boop, 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 boop. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy, because every time he's hitting...
That's the Russian, right?
Yeah, Russian. Yeah. I'm like, I can hear these punches. I was like,
So, what do you make of Ruiz losing all the weight as far as comparing Ortiz and Ruiz at this point, two heavyweights losing weight, where you think it could work in detriment to Ruiz but benefit... but detriment to Ortiz but benefit Ruiz?
I'm not sure, because talking to his ex-trainer up there for a second.
Who's ex-trainer?
Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie.
Uh-huh.
And Freddie says, he's trained Ruiz, and he's always said, when Ruiz loses weight, he's not as good. No, I say if he loses weight, he's quicker, but still punches.
Were you ever in that position where as a heavyweight you were conscientious of the scale, where you wanted to bring yourself down to a certain number?
Yeah, yes sir. Manny would always come in, and he'd come in when I was sparring, and he'd say, well, how much you weigh? I'd go, 240. So no, come down a couple pounds. I said, what? So I'd come down to 235. He'd say, yeah, you look better. So he could see it from outside the ring, and I guess I could feel it inside the ring as well, because I felt a lot better. Not carrying the extra weight, not coming in at 240, I can come in at 235, 237.
So even a few pounds feels better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Doesn't change your style, doesn't allow you to accept punches better. You're maybe fitter, but still punches will affect you. And maybe you won't decline as quick. You may decline slower. And when I say decline, I'm talking you get hit, and all of a sudden you're low, your energy level goes low because you get hit all the time. But if you're fitter, you get hit, but energy level goes lower, slower, not as quick, because you're in better shape. Yeah.
So endurance is the weight impacts endurance most.
Right.
Okay.
And then sorry for cutting you.
No.
Then it really depends how you get hit. If you get hit where you have to really recover, you're taking a lot of energy out of your body. Or if you're getting tapped, you're not really recovering.
Do you, from a psychological standpoint, put yourself in Deontay's situation. Let's say Mike Tyson brought someone like Victor Conti in his team. Someone who has a past like that, who's now supposed to be an X-Factor-like figure. From a psychological standpoint, how do you approach that as an opponent?
As an opponent, you mean the fact that my opponent brings somebody in?
Yeah.
Won't help him. Won't help him because
You don't care specifically about stuff like that?
no, because what happens is it's like everybody trying to fight Floyd Mayweather. They realize, oh, you know what? I need to cut off the ring because he moves so well. Okay. They go back and they practice for 3 months how to cut off the ring. It doesn't help you. You need to be practicing it for years. You know, you can't just all of a sudden say, oh, one fight, oh, I need to do this and then go and do it. Unless you're a great fighter that can do that. But, you know, great fighters are difficult. They're caught in their same thing. You know, once you get hit, it's like you resort to what you know. Like that thing, old dog, new tricks.
So back to the Ruiz-Joshua fight, is there something Ruiz can do differently to come in there and win this fight, out-duel Ruiz in this one?
Oh, you mean Joshua?
Joshua, yes, excuse me.
Is there something he can do? Yeah, he can get better at his craft. You know, he can look at the tape and say, well, when I get hurt, I need to hold him properly, not hold him like this. You know, that's one thing I definitely noticed. Second thing, you know, he didn't know. He came back to the corner and he said, boy, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what is he doing. He didn't know what was happening. So obviously he's gone back to the drawing board and he's looked at what he needs to do. And let's hope he can correct these things before he gets in this fight.
You think he's that good of a fighter, though, that he can make those changes and implement them right away?
I think he's young enough to be able to learn, you know, but he needs proper teachers, you know. I think them bringing in new people to kind of help that is perfect. You know, this is what he needs. He needs people that he can learn from. I always say, there's great trainers, but there's no great teachers. So he's got great trainers, but he doesn't have no great teachers.
What about emotionally?
Emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, to come back, that was a bad loss. I mean, at the end, he didn't know what.
Let me tell you, it was a bad loss, and he's got a heavy task ahead of him. He's making the right moves. He knows that he needs to do certain stuff like that. He knows that he needs to learn a lot of stuff, but these are the stuff that he should have been learning.
You think he should have done an immediate rematch? Or do you think he should?
No, I don't think he should have did an immediate rematch. I think he's still young enough. You know, especially how he lost. I think his promoter should have really brought that fight back to England, where his family is, where his crowd is, and build him back up on that way. Now he's basically brought him back to another foreign country where he doesn't know anybody, and he's going to be looking around like this.
Lennox, you mentioned location, and it's a big thing in this fight.
Yeah.
You fought in South Africa, which is obviously a location you were not familiar with.
Right.
What do you make of this fight being in Saudi Arabia and the circumstances around that?
I think, you know, obviously Saudi Arabia wants big shows, big events, and, you know, great place for big events at the right time. And I don't think, you know, an event should be an event just because it's money. I think it should be better for your fighter, whatever you know, what's the best place for your fighter to fight so you can guarantee the win. When it's against a lesser opponent, maybe you can bring it over there and say, okay, you know, yeah, I'll box this lesser opponent over there and beat him and not have too much weight on my shoulders. Now he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders and he's got a lot to prove, a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure.
So you think Eddie Hearn probably introduced an unnecessary variable just from the sense of Saudi Arabia?
Well, you see, they box for different terms. You know, Eddie Hearns is there for the money. He's trying to get the money. You know, I'm not saying he's wrong. He's a promoter. Promoters are trying to get the most money possible. But, you know, the promoter and the boxer are supposed to walk hand in hand. And, you know, and there's a couple promoters and boxers that work hand in hand.
Did his team do him a disservice by bringing him up, only fighting in Britain, and then suddenly he's in New York?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they give me heck for this all the time. I said, listen, as a world champion, you need to box around the world. I look at myself. I boxed I boxed in America because that's where all the belts were. So I was close to the belts, boxing in America, boxing shows in America. I went into places where they booed me when I was going in, but they cheered me when I was coming out. So I went through that aspect of it. That toughened me up mentally. You know, I said to Anthony Joshua, you need to box outside of England. When he boxed outside of England, all of a sudden, you know, this is the fight. He's come over here, he's trained in Miami. Miami's not New York City. You know, I would be training in New York City. And then all of a sudden, you know, you lose. And part of the reason is, he said that's the first time he was looking around, people were booing him.
Yeah.
You know, when you have 70,000 people cheering for you, and then all of a sudden you go to a place where people are booing you, it's got to be offsetting.
What kind of you have a suspect chin now? You always got to have a suspect chin?
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a suspect chin.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, let me tell you, in boxing, there's a couple things that you're going to go through. You're going to go through people saying, he has no endurance. Okay. Then you show people you have endurance. He doesn't have a good chin. He's got to get hit. I got hit. People know that I got a good chin. At first they were saying I didn't have a good chin. Then they said I had a soft spot, but they seen me get hit on that chin again. You know what I mean? So it's like I built up myself and made myself stronger.
Do you think he's also has a tough task in filling your shoes as a fellow Brit?
I think he shouldn't try and fill my shoes. I think he should try and fill his own shoes. And I think that's part of the problem as well. Why? Listen, I've done my shit. You know, I've set my goals. Now I've put them there for others to achieve and try and surpass.
You mentioned
Joshua will
before.
win this fight.
I think if Joshua doesn't come in mentally and physically prepared, he will lose the fight.
Have you talked to him since the Ruiz fight?
No.
How would you classify your relationship? As like, are you mentoring him in any way throughout the years?
Well, you know, the first time he actually came to, hey buddy. Good. Good to see you, my brother. Yeah, man. Your hair looks good.
Let me see yours. Damn, it looks good.
So you mentioned before you can't take your third grade teacher to college with you.
Right.
Is he still trying to do things with his third grade or fifth or sixth grade teacher?
What? Well, he has taken notice of what I've said to a certain degree, and he's brought in other people, which is very wise. That shows that, you know, you want to learn as a fighter and be a lot better. You always have to try and improve upon yourself. And, you know, if that trainer is not giving that to you, then you have to, and you want to stay with him, you got to bring in other people.
He said a couple months ago when we saw him in New York, they were doing a press tour, that he feels like you have something against him. Those are his words. Why do you think he feels that way?
You know, what it is, I think it's just the people around him. You know, he's never spoken to me. He's never tried to phone.
Literally?
No, he's never tried to phone me or anything like that. You know, the mountain doesn't go to the pupil. The pupil comes to the mountain. You know what I mean? You want to know something, you come to me. Don't sit there don't sit there and say, oh, Lennox Lewis doesn't phone me. He doesn't do this. I'm like, that's silly to me.
Will you welcome that phone call?
If he phoned me?
Yeah.
Sure. I welcome all phone calls. Listen, I've got so much knowledge in my head, I don't want to go away with it. I'm here to give it out. You know, give you the knowledge so you can help with what you need to do.
Yeah, you have Joe right next to you. Is training something you would consider?
Joe's a great trainer. Joe's a great trainer. I'll always say that. And the reason why is because he connects with the fighters. It's very important to connect with the fighter. You can't be a trainer and not know your fighter. You got to know everything. You got to know how many hours he sleeps from what he eats.
But that's not something you would want to do in the future?
For me?
Yeah.
I'm a professor.
No, he would want someone to do that for him. But that's the way it works, you know.